All right, I wanted to provide a fuller demo of the Laravel 10 shift, and normally I use it to update confidentlaravel.com, which is one of my course sites. I would say this is probably a medium-sized application. It's not necessarily a lot of code, but it does have a lot of components within Laravel. So it has commands, jobs, policies, events, some custom service classes. So for those reasons, again, even though maybe it's not a lot of code, it does touch a lot of pieces of the framework. So I think it provides kind of a good use case of a real world application that probably most people running Shift would see. So yeah, let's go ahead and jump out to laravelshift.com. We'll run the Laravel 10.x shift. So there it is. And I'm just going to paste in the clone URL that it says I can do. And master branch is fine. So let's hit checkout and run. And I actually have a Shifty plan, of course, as the creator of Shift. I can run any Shift for free. So I just get to hit run here instead of breaking out the credit card. All right, so this is queuing and running. Great, there we go. And it might take about a minute. So let's go ahead and use our time wisely. I'll jump out to the command line. I'm on the master branch here, but you know what? I'm gonna go ahead and run the tests. These are actually written in pest. So we'll kind of let those run in the background and make sure I'm still in a green state. And yeah, let's go over here to the project in my editor, PHP Storm. And yeah, let's go ahead and open up Composer JSON. Looks like I was in here a minute ago. So yeah, this is all older stuff, Laravel 9. It's still running, but at the very least, we're going to be updating this file. So I just kind of like to open this to get a feel for like the dependencies that were in here. Not too many. Most things are first-party Laravel or the packages that Laravel itself uses, Guzzle and so forth. So good. Let's go see how we're doing. That ran great. All right, cool. So let's jump out to the shift. And anytime I'm reviewing a shift, here's kind of the way in which I go about it. Of course, I kind of get a feel for the general stats of the PR. So about 100 files changed, and looks like more deletions than additions. That's awesome. Senior dev move right there from Shift. I take a peek at the commits. I'll look at these more closely here in a minute. I really like to start with the comments, and this just kind of lets me know what Shift did. It also gives a chance for the any CI to run, which in this case has already failed. So good to know that we're going to need to do some things here. So maybe the comments will shed some light on what's going on with that. So starting at the top here, Shift upgraded your configuration files by defaulting them and merging your true customizations. All right, so we should review this commit. And what this is doing here is basically, again, it attempts to merge your configuration files with the new configuration files in Laravel. The configuration files are always changing, even in minor versions. Major versions, every config file is likely changed. And I've just seen too many times where a single line of missing configuration can really make a developer bang their head against the wall for hours. So Shift takes a little bit of an opinionated approach here and kind of defaults these files and brings your changes back over. So let's kind of take a peek here and see what that means. For the most part, it really just means it adds comments and new options, but there are situations where it will overwrite existing options with the newer ones. So in this case, it is adding this username, but maybe I had hard set password here, and now password got overridden with just the env variable. And this is kind of where that opinionation happens, or that opinionated approach, is that Shift wants you to use these environment variables, and it does so because it makes the maintenance of these files much easier. Whether you use Shift or not, if you're using the environment variables instead of hard coding values in kind of this default argument here, you can pretty much just copy in the new files at any point in time. You don't have to really think about all those changes that are happening. And that's kind of my advocation, and that's why it's also built in to how Shift automates it. So we can see here it's really just the addition of these new options. And again, you might not think it, but missing just this new option here could actually cause an error in your application, depending on what that option is. I've definitely seen it before. So that looks good. There's nothing that really got overridden. So I think this is safe. And something else I like to do with these Shift PRs is if the comment's good or I've reviewed it or it doesn't really apply to me, I just go ahead and remove it. All right, the next thing, dependencies. This is kind of the last big hurdle of Shift. I really try to make this something that is a lot easier, whether, again, you use Shift or not. Updating your dependencies is probably the biggest pain point of doing an upgrade. So what Shift is doing here is it letting us know that it did bump the versions. We can see those from the commit here in a minute, but it kind of highlights the ones that it sent across a major version. And that's these 4 out of the dependencies that I had. So what would be good is for me to probably check DOM PDF here and see the change log. Is there anything that is notable maybe in this 2.0 version? So we can take a peek at these, but it seems like for the most part, kind of looking at this, deprecated, breaking changes, HTML5 parser because it was always on, orientation removed in favor of options. So it seems like there's nothing here that would probably break necessarily in 2.0 unless I was maybe using these options, but it claims it was never used and it claims that the HTML parser was always on. So it doesn't seem like there's anything here that would probably hurt me unless maybe I have a custom configuration file, so I can check for that. The Laravel packages I never really worry about because a lot of times those just have first-party bumps, so they jump a major version just like Laravel does. That's just kind of for organization. So the last one would really just be Sentry, and to see if there's any kind of opportunity to kind of go through this. So the changelog, we could check this out. Happy to announce. So it looks like there's support for 10 and there's a new option. Doesn't seem like there's anything, but again, I should probably check that a little closer. So let's keep going. Next comment, Laravel renamed the password reset stable to password reset tokens. An optional change, but Shift found that I was using password resets and created a migration. Awesome. So this is actually probably the change related to Laravel UI. And again, for first-party packages, Shift does attempt to go ahead and make those changes if it sees that you're using them. So that's why I don't typically change those, because here's a good example. Shift just automatically did what would have been needed in that change log anyway. Great. Okay, Laravel 10 added PHP type hints to all userland code included in a new Laravel application. So it looks like Shift automated that for me. Let's take a peek. Cool, yeah, so looks like all those commands I was talking about are now void. If we jump down to controllers, this returns a view, this returns a redirection. Awesome. Great, yeah, that'd be a super tedious change to do myself. Okay, so now with type hints, defining types with PHP doc blocks is redundant. Shift removed these. Great. So yeah, so the returns are all just gone now. Yeah, so void is void. They're just in the code, redirect response. So it got rid of this generic one in the controller because there's a more specific one actually that's more correct. So yay, code comments gone. All right, Shift understands developers have different preferences when it comes to type hints. So this can be undone effectively. So again, if you didn't want these types, you can kind of revert these. Here's the exact command I could run to revert those changes. All of the underlying Symfony components used by Laravel have been upgraded to 6.2. Shift detected references to Symfony. Review the changelog. Am I doing? All right, let's check this. Okay, good. All my tests passed on master, so let's do git fetch origin. We'll do a git checkout on the Shift branch, 8288 All right, and let's jump back to the editor. Where am I doing anything with Symfony? Oh, this is just the... Okay, these are just the type hints for the middleware now. Okay, so I'm not actually using Symfony myself. Okay, so that can be removed. We don't need to worry about that. And again, I'm going to keep these type hints, so kind of sticking with the removal of these comments. Okay, next comment. Laravel began using Vite to build front-end assets in Laravel 9.19. I can run the Vite converter for free. Okay, I'll do that separately. Again, I like to stay focused on the Laravel 10 shift, so I'll just kind of remove that. I'll do that at a separate time. Laravel 10 requires Composer 2.2 or higher. You can run Composer version. All right. 2.5.4, so that's greater than 2.2, so we're good there. All right, let's dump that out. PHP requires 8.1 or higher. You should verify your version. Okay, so I know that I'm running 8.2 locally and I'm running 8.1 on the server, but I probably want to check my GitHub Actions. That might have been the reason why it was failing. Congratulations, you're running the latest shift. Here's some other ones I can run. Cool. Okay, and then final comment. Oh, looks like there's actually a syntax error here. I can check that by running php-l. And let's get this. What's wrong with you? Ah, duplicate import. Okay, that actually is a common thing sometimes, especially with these. So let's open, and it pulled in this contract, it looks like. I'm going to cut that out to get rid of the error. But where is that being used? Ooh, it's this type hint. That's what happened here. Okay, so really, I can kind of inline with the changes Shift made, I can remove that. And let's just do a fully qualified reference there. Okay, that should take care of that, but keep that type hint. So it looks like there was just an issue with the type hint. So let me just go ahead and do a git add -p. So we killed that duplicate import. I could have aliased it, I guess, but based on this fully qualified return type, that's probably just what I can use anyway. And again, this is one of kind of Laravel's classes, not my own, so good to probably follow suit with what they have. So git commit -m, let's fix PHP error. All right, let's go ahead and push that up. Again, maybe that was what the check was. We'll see. All right, let's delete that comment because I took care of that. All right, scrolling back up to the top here, we've gone through all the comments. Now I just kind of like to take a look at these commits. And again, you could look at all the file changes up here, but another reason that Shift makes these nice atomic commits is because you can really just kind of jump in and see this change in isolation. You're not having to look through, 89 files. So I like to kind of look at it this way. Okay, so remove explicit call to register policies. This is something Laravel 10 does automatically. So Shift just found this code and got rid of it for me. Awesome. Remove fruitcake Laravel Coors dependency. So yes, this actually got assimilated in Laravel 9, but it was kind of a later version of Laravel 9. It was one of the minor releases. And again, I just kind of know all this as the creator of Shift, but this is now done in the Laravel 9 shift, but because, again, maybe I ran this, maybe I ran the Laravel 9 shift really early and it happened later in the life cycle, the Laravel 10 shift is picking this up for me. So that's kind of a nice thing. That's pretty cool. The rest we kind of looked at, these default config files, the bumping of dependencies, the type hints, the doc blocks, and then there's that rename password reset table. So that's really everything that it did. I think we're in a place now where we've kind of gone through that first pass. So now what I like to do is let's just try to run Composer update, right? Let's see if everything installs. There's no errors according to, what Shift kind of gave me in its report. Okay, but we do have some dependencies. That's pretty much expected, no matter what. Oh yes, the dreaded Laravel Vimeo. I groan because this Laravel, or this package is always behind. Yeah, look at this. It still has the Laravel 9 compatibility one that I submitted, or Shift submitted, more than a year ago. So it submitted a Laravel 10 one as well. Excellent. Yeah, they just, as a paying customer of Vimeo, in fact, Confident Laravel uses Vimeo to serve up the videos for the course. Like, get on this, get this merged. Anyway, Shift does, this is one of the things Shift does for the community. It goes out and submits kind of all of these PRs. But since this hasn't been merged, there is kind of this thing here where you can kind of try to use it directly. So you can use Shift's fork. So let's see if Shift's fork works. I'm pretty sure, if I remember right, it worked last time. So I'm just going to jump in my composer file. I'm going to drop this down at the bottom. And then it says update your dependency constraint for this branch. Okay. So let's go back up to Vimeo. And there's Vimeo. Let's take that. And let's run that composer update again, fingers crossed. Given that that was kind of the last one in the line here, I'm hoping that's my own. Oh, hey, it is my only incompatibility. Awesome. So this seemed to install based on that fork. It doesn't necessarily mean that that fork is 100%, but it does mean that it is compatible from a composer perspective. And for now, that's all I'm really caring about. So what do we change here? Let's just do a git add -u on those, git commit -m. I'm going to say composer update. Let's go ahead and push that because our GitHub action, our CI is still failing. So again, I want to give it time to run. But we know those tests were passing on master. Now that we have our dependencies going, let's see if they're passing locally. So let's just close this. And while we're waiting on that, let me go out to Sentry and just kind of take a peek at that. So we know we have the requirement. I just want to make sure that kind of the integration hasn't changed. So let's just take this opportunity to go into my handler. And okay, it looks like they are binding this differently now. They're doing it in this register bit. So I'm gonna take that and get rid of this. And since this is just calling report, I can actually get rid of that now because it's just calling the parent class. So that actually helps me streamline this. And let's bring in this as well. So Sentry, that should be good. Okay. So good. Yeah, there's an opportunity to refactor for Sentry there. And then the last thing, while I'm thinking about it with these other dependencies, just to make sure they're compatible, let's go see if I have that DOM PDF. I don't see the DOM PDF or PDF config file in here, so I'm going to assume that that's okay because it's the only thing it mentioned in the changelog was that those options were changed. And because I'm not using their config, it should use the default config. No problem there. So I think I could safely assume that the rest of these dependencies are good. The password resets table is fine. We're cool with all those options. The last thing I think I can do here is, again, check GitHub Actions to see if there's an opportunity to make sure I'm running 8.1, and there is. Okay, so let's just see anywhere where I'm saying 8.0. I'm going to change that to 8.1 to update my build. It's running pest, and let's go back. Hey, and all my tests are passing. Okay, let's get this cleaned up because I think I'm good to go. Let's do a git add -p on app. So again, we just kind of modernized our Sentry integration, which allowed us to get rid of kind of this overridden method in our handler, which we don't need anymore. So that's good. So let's do a git commit on that in isolation. We'll just do update Sentry integration. And then finally, we updated our workflow to be 8.1 according to Laravel 10's new requirements. So git commit -m, bump CI for PHP 8.1. All right, git push origin head. Tests are passing, dependencies are installing, even had a little bit of a refactor here, so let's kill the rest of these comments. I'm cool with those doc blocks being removed. I'm cool with 8.1 now. This migration will happen as part of my deployment, so I'm good there as well. The test ran too, so there weren't any issues with that. And then again, I can run all these cool things after the fact if I want. So yeah, fine with me. So CI is running. Looks like build failed. Is that true? Did I do something wrong? Oh no, that was just delayed UI there. All right, let's give this a second to run here and see if we're getting a nice little green checkbox. That's kind of a cool thing about this automation. It marries really nicely with Shift, right? I think if I didn't have a test suite and I didn't have CI, hey, there it is, green checkbox. I'd probably want to go through these changes a little more. I'd probably want to fire up the application locally and take a look at it. But because I have these tools, and that's what's telling me on master even, which is in production, that, this is fine and this is running, then I'm ready to go. So I'm going to squash this up, and there you have it. Yeah, there it is. Upgraded to Laravel 10, even did a little bit of refactoring, bumped up the CI, and I have all those nice, sweet, type hints in my code now. So that's pretty good. So next step is deploy this to production and make sure that goes smoothly.